Ladies and gentlemen, I'm back for another edition of The Sniff Agent. If you're new here, it's simple. My name is The Sniff Agent, and what I do best is I introduce you to fragrances that can change all of your social encounters. If that sounds like something that you need, something that you want, stay tuned, stay locked, and I'll be right back with the fragrance nuts and bolts of why you should purchase fragrances and how to go about doing it. So today's segment will be a little different. We're going to talk about the strategies that you should use to finding your signature scent, strategies that you should use when you're thinking about getting into this vastly wide world of fragrances. It can be costly, can be entertaining, but overall, it can change the way you move around in society. And if you don't know what you're doing, you can find yourself going bankrupt and having to owe thousands and thousands of dollars just because you want to walk out the house and smell good every day. So first disclaimer, yes, it's true. I have a couple hundred bottles of fragrance and I love it. It's my passion. I'm not suggesting that any of you go out and find a reason to buy 100 bottles, 200 bottles, even 300 bottles of fragrances. But what I am suggesting is this. If you're going to get into this game of fragrances, you need to understand certain aspects to the game. So let's get right down to it. I don't suggest you blind buy. And sometimes I do blind buy. But what I'm saying to you is simply this. I would go somewhere, and if a fragrance moves me or intrigues me, interests me, I would ask the person that is there selling the fragrances to allow me to have a sample. I would wear that sample 1 to 3 days, and I would get an idea from that wearing whether or not that's a fragrance that connects with me, that relates to me, and also speaks to those around me. I would buy the fragrance after that. Now, this is a ritual that I always have. I've been around fragrances for so long now that I can tell from one sniff if this is something that I should keep or this is something that I should discard. But for you, the person that's looking to get into this fabulous world of amazing scents, you have to be wise and strategic how you go about acquiring these fragrances. So number 1, do not blind buy. Always get a sample. If the place or the establishment that you're in refuses to give a sample, then you don't do business with them. Because anybody that's in this business knows that sometimes a sniff or whiff is not enough to encourage you to go into your pocket and spend $100, $200, $300, maybe even as much as $1,000 on a fragrance. So you need a real reason, something that's compelling. And you can only get that by wearing that fragrance and see how you relate to it. You know, when you go on a date, right? What are you looking for? You're looking to see if there are things that are in common that you have. Does it make you smile? Does this person make you smile? Does this person make you feel good? Is there a reason to do it again? Well, that's the way fragrances work. There has to be a compelling reason to come back, to reach, to buy, and to wear. And if you don't have a sample, there's no way that you can really tell. Now, once you blind buy this fragrance and you spray it a couple of times, you cannot return it. So you don't want to be behind the 8 ball saying, oh my God, I just spent $300 for a fragrance and now I can't return it because it really doesn't connect with me. Number 2, when you buy in fragrances, there's a such thing called notes. There's sandalwood, there's patchouli, there's oud, there's amber, there's ginger, there's chocolate. The list goes on and on. So by sampling fragrances, you will discover some of the notes that resonates with you. Now, some people like rose. I'm a big fan of sandalwood. I'm a big fan of oud. I like my, portion, my balance of rose. But I know the notes that really answer that knock at the door for me. So the question is, what knocks at the door for you? You can only do that by experimenting. And you don't go out and buy bottles of fragrances that will cost you more than a pretty penny, only to find out that I really don't like oud. It's too pungent. I don't really like rose. I don't like this particular note, but I love this sandalwood. You understand what I'm saying? I love the note of ginger. I love the patchouli. So, in order to figure out what accommodates you, what makes you smell good, what makes you feel good, you will have to practice sampling, wearing, engaging that fragrance in such a way, and then moving about in society. And this will determine whether or not you have found a love or it's something you should walk away from. Now, the third point in buying a fragrance is different price points. So $300, $500, we can jump all the way back to $100, or we can go designer, or we can go niche. Now, depending on the route that you take, the price point will vary. And when that price point varies, this is where you're getting into some murky waters here, because niche fragrances can be a hefty price. And so what I suggest is that you can inquire about some fragrances that are in the commercial world. You can go to some of your favorite boutiques and you can inquire that way. But 9 times out of 10, when you inquire that way, the salespeople are going to try to really push you into buying something. So when you walk into a sales place that has fragrances, allow them to know that you are looking. You don't necessarily want to purchase right now, but you want to find something that captures your imagination, something that makes your nostrils say, hey, I'm glad I'm in this place right now. And you let them know that right off the back. Don't lead them around allowing them to think that you're going to purchase something right there and then. Because if you're honest with them, they will definitely find something or recommend something based on the information that you give them that will allow them to push something your way that you might really find fantastic. So always be honest with the salespeople about your intent and why you're in their store, because they're there to help you find a fragrance that speaks to your soul. Always ask this one particular question. Is there a distinct difference between designer and niche? Yes. Sometimes it's price, other times it's ingredients. Sometimes niche fragrances have the ability and the staying power to last a long time. They use better ingredients. But every now and then they do have designer houses that put together some great fragrances that'll knock your socks off and can compete with any niche fragrance house that you can imagine. So it varies. It comes down to your personal preference, comes down to what's in your wallet. It comes down to you finding the notes, the ingredients that connects with this, makes you feel awesome, And when you go out there, people will let you know if that fragrance is a fragrance that really, really, really marries you and you marries it, because you'll receive so many compliments. Here's another question that I'm constantly asked. Do you buy fragrances just for compliments? Yes and no. That's the answer. Most people, I believe, want the compliments. But if you're a true connoisseur of fragrances, you just love anything that smells good and anything that brings you to this place of pure satisfaction. When I'm wearing fragrances, it's not just to smell good. It is to bring me a level of confidence for that day. It speaks to my mood, and it speaks to my intent. And what do I mean by intent? I can wear a fragrance that I know will garner me compliments. I can choose and grab for another fragrance to go to a wedding to. I can wear a fragrance on Saturday and Sunday that's a casual pleaser. It's not over the top, but it just works. And every minute that I'm out there, I smell good without too much fanfare. So fragrances are therapeutic because they put you in a place, in a frame of mind that you should be in based on your emotional status in that moment. So another question that is asked of me is this: is there any way to get around expensive fragrances? Yes, there is. Find the fragrances that you truly love. Understand what notes work best for you, and then go out and do a deep dive, a strong investigation into fragrances that has those particular notes. And what you will find is that yes, you will find bottles that cost $400 and $500, but you'll also find bottles that cost $150, $200. So it is a journey. It's not just going into Beardorf Goodman's or Saks or someplace like that and say, what is your most expensive perfume, cologne that you have? I'd like to try that. When you go there, you say, I'm a big fan of fragrances that are musky, woody. And that salesperson will say, okay, likes musk, likes wood. Let me recommend these for you. And that price point will vary on the fragrance house. That's how you go about getting around spending all of this money, because now you're speaking to how you want to spend your money based on your desire to have a particular fragrance with particular notes. So another question that's asked of me all the time is, how do you identify a signature scent? Now that's a huge question, and it deserves a good answer. For me, I determine signature scents by how often I would use that scent, the price point of that scent, meaning that if it's a scent that I use all the time, I want to be able to purchase it on a regular basis. Now, if I have a fragrance that costs me $500, I'm not going to wear that fragrance every day. I don't care how good it smells or what compliments I receive when I walk out into the street. So the balance is finding a fragrance that you cannot live without, and that becomes your signature scent. Secondly, the fragrance has to be at a price point that you can, on a regular basis, go out and buy this fragrance. Thirdly, the fragrance has to be something that's not offensive to the crowds and the spaces that you're going to be in. That's how you determine a signature scent. And then lastly, the fragrance that people say, "Whew, that fragrance smells so good on you. I can't believe it. I know you were coming. I knew that you was here because I smelt the scent before even seeing you. Those are the things or the reasons that help you determine a signature scent. Another question that I'm always asked is, if I had to recommend a signature scent, what would it be? Well, I have a couple recommendations. First recommendation, here it is right here. The first recommendation for a signature scent that I would recommend is by the house of Louis, and this is called Louis 001 Man. And this is a musky, woody, it has carrot seeds in it. And when I tell you that this fragrance right here, it's pure dynamite. It will last you all day, and it will hold up for just about any occasion. This is Sunday, this is Saturday, this is work, this is after work play, this is just you being stunning and not having to break the bank. This is less than $200, but what you get for that price point is a fragrance that will sweep you up off your feet and have everybody around you saying, that is a beautiful scent. Where did you get it from? This is one of my signature scents. I cannot stop reaching for this scent because it does everything that I need to get through any day. So now the second signature scent that I'd like to introduce is this one right here. There you go. It's called Rue 24 by YSL. And we're talking, look at that sprayer. We're talking sandalwood at its best. This thing right here, when you wear this to work, you're about to get in trouble. When you walk down the street, you're gonna be in trouble. When you hit the club, you're gonna be in trouble. When you're sitting in the coffee shop, you're getting into some trouble. This is a beautiful sandalwood. I don't have to say anything else. If you like trouble, if you enjoy attention, if you want a fragrance that before they see you, they know you have arrived, this is the fragrance. Now I chose these two because these two give you the greatest value for your buck. Now this one is a little bit more expensive than the 001 Man, but it's worth every penny. I do have an honorable mention, and it's by the house of Le Labo. It's called Santal 33. And by far, this is my #1 signature scent. The reason why I didn't mention it prior to right now is because this fragrance right here, it speaks volumes. It is on the Mount Rushmore of fragrances. This is a commercial scent, but if you want a fragrance that will do everything that you need, every, breathtaking, stunning, appealing, irresistible, everyday wear, sensual, it doesn't get better than this. This is it. This is a game changer. But it's a fragrance that's known and quite a few people have it. So that's why it's an honorable mention. The other two, they're more isolated. But this is known. This has a reputation to it and it doesn't disappoint. So I've just recommended 3 signature scents that you can use to make a point. Now, I almost forgot to mention, this is also sandalwood, this is musky, this is woody. But this is the best. It's not the most expensive, it's not cheap. But if you want something that's a classic, if you want something that works, you better not look any further than this right here, because if you do, that would be a sin. So the purpose of this show today was to talk about the nuts and bolts. How to buy, why to buy, exploring different notes, price points, how to strategize going after fragrances. Oh, so let me give you an idea what samples look like. So here's one right here. This is the House of Barredo. They're really not that big, you know, but it's enough for you to spray to get at least 3 wears out of this. And that's enough for you to find out if you love it or hate it. Just that simple, you know. And it varies, the size of them varies. You know, I like the samples from Frederick Moore because look at the size of this bottle right here. Look at this. This you could wear the whole week. Fantastic sprayer. This is a beautiful example. This is a beautiful sample. Now, one thing that I failed to mention with samples, sometimes if they don't give you samples, well, buy it. It's best that you pay between $5 and $8 as opposed to spending $300 and walk away with an unsatisfied experience. So you pick and choose. But first, you get curious. Okay, you know what? I'm interested. Let me have a sample of that. And that's how you go about doing it. Find somebody in the fragrance business that actually knows their stuff. That they're familiar with new releases, they're familiar with classics, they're familiar with fragrances that you would be interested in. Somebody that you could send them an email, could you do me a favor? I just heard about this fragrance. Please send me a sample of this so I can find out if it's just hype or do I really need to get my nose and skin on this. That is very important. Develop a relationship with a person that knows about this business. It will save you a lot of time and trouble, and it will keep you informed about what's going on in the fragrance community. So I'd like to take the time to thank each and every one of you for stopping by and tuning in. That's it for the nuts and bolts of starting a fragrance collection. As always, I need you to like, subscribe, hit that bell in the middle so that when new content is released, you'll be the first ones to receive it. And remember, being sexy is one spray away